Hey there, grade 5. This is Mr. B, and this is my first math video in quite a while now. So today, this is just going to be a quick one. I'm not even going to, well, this one, yeah, this is just for today particularly, just for anyone who's struggling on page 45, just to help you a little bit. The first thing, because we didn't exactly get to this in our lessons, so I thought it might be good to just quickly go over some things. First things is we have this word difference that comes up a lot on this page. Right? You have it come up a lot. And difference, whenever you see a difference question, you're thinking subtract. I'm just going to say subtract, right? Because difference is you're trying to find what is the difference between each other. And when you subtract one number from the other, you will find this, right? If we want to find the difference between 3 and 1, if we add these together, we get 4. That doesn't tell us how many is in between these numbers and how much bigger 3 is than 1. But if we subtract them, we'll get 2. And then that actually shows us that 3 is 2 larger than 1. Now, obviously, that's a simple version, and we'll just look at something a bit closer here. Sometimes these come in sort of different ways. A lot of the times they're like how big, how much larger, how much smaller, how much this, how much that, will be always difference questions. As long as they're kind of somewhat asking what's the difference between them, right? So if you say how much do you have in total, right? If you ever see a total, that's a totally different question. That's always asking for addition or maybe multiplication in a different sense. But in today's lessons, it's only addition or subtraction. So we can have a question about like how much taller is Mel than Sally? So right away, when we see how much taller is, and then also this than, right? Than is a comparison word, right? We're comparing two things. So than will often, lead you off to thinking that there is probably a difference being asked about here. There might be other things like after and all sorts of different ways to look at this. But yeah, here we'll just go. Sorry, I got my door knocked on there for a moment. We'll look at this one. So Mel, let's say M, we'll just say M equals 137 centimeters. And S equals 150 centimeters. Now, the next big thing when we're doing this to find the difference is we have to make sure we do this properly, right? If we try and do this 137 minus 150, we'll get a negative answer, right? It'll be below 0, probably 13 below 0. But, so that's something we always have to do. The bigger number always needs to go on top when you're subtracting to find the differences here. Now, maybe in some higher grade level math, you will start to do it in different ways, but in this case, when we're finding the difference, it is always the bigger number that will go on top. So you have to make sure you do that. So 150 goes on top, and then 137 goes below it. And so then you can do this. You need to borrow from here. You get 4. That's 10, 3, 1, 0. Right, and so you get your 13, and that's the difference between these two. And so your answer in nice wording could be something about Mel is 13 centimeters shorter than Sally, or rather, in the case of this, Sally is 13 centimeters taller than Mel. So this could also come in different ways. You could have, Huntsville and Bracebridge. It's a bathroom break. You could have Huntsville and Bracebridge being compared, right? Hunts, I'm just going to call it might have 20,000, and then Brace have, 16,000. And you have to make sure that you always put the top one, the bigger one, first. Okay, we're going to continue on and just think about something else. sometimes when we're estimating, so a lot of this has been called, we've been dealing with rounding, and rounding and estimating have a lot to do with each other. When we round numbers to figure something out quicker, what we're doing is we're estimating instead of actually finding out the exact number. And so in this case, I'll have a little example here. If we want when we do estimating or rounding, we have to use discernment, which means we have to think about what makes sense. So we have to just use discernment, and this is something that we just have to learn and to kind of think about. So if you have two cities, let's just call it Port Sydney, and I'm just going to call it PS for short. And Port Sydney has 2,373 people, for example. My town probably does not have, my old town does not have that much, but we're just using that. And then I'll have Baysville, which is another town nearby. And we'll say Baysville has 5,982 people. And we wanted to figure out the difference between these two, but by estimating and rounding. So we have a few different options. We can round to the thousands. That could be an option. And we can try these different options here. So let's just see what we get as differences. So let's do our thousands one. So if we round to the thousands, we will go look at the next one over, 3. So this one rounds down, right? So what we'll get is 2,000, right? We could have either rounded up to the 3,000s or down to 2,000. You get the idea. And this one here, we look over, and because it is greater than 5, we're going to round up. So this will be 6,000. And so now we have our two numbers. And remember, we have to put the smaller one at the bottom. So we'll put this one down here. We'll subtract, and we'll get a total of 4,000. The next one over, which we'll just look at here. Maybe I'll just erase that. So 4,000. We'll just put 4,000 nicely and neatly up here. 4,000. And then we'll do hundreds this time. So what is our hundreds? If we round to the hundreds now instead, what will we look at? So hundreds, remember the first thing we do is we underline the one we're rounding to. So we see this one, and then we look over. So here, with this one, we see a 7. That's greater than 5, and so we're going to round up. And so what we're going to get is 2,400, right? And here, we're going to look up, and what we're going to get is rounding up again. And remember, when we have a 9 and it rounds up, it moves over. It's like regrouping over. So what this gives us is 6,000, because if this 9 turns into a 10, right, the 1 goes over into the next column. And again, we just have to rearrange these, right? So it's 6,000 and 2,400, 0, 0, 0. And here we just have to borrow 1 here. We get 6, and then we minus 5, minus 2, and we're going to get this number instead. So we'll put that there, 3,600. And then we'll do one last one just to check the tens. And what I'm going to we just lost one of our digits. What we'll see here is the more we round, the bigger the differences are between them. So this time we underline this, we look over. So this one, a 3 is 4 or lower, so it's less than 5. So we round down, and same with a 2, so we're rounding down. So what we'll get this time is 5,980 minus 2,370. So we do this, we see this is going to be 1, this one here is going to be 6, and here we are going to get, and this is a 0, of course, and then here we get 3. So we see we have it very close. So 3,610. 3,610. These ones you see are not very far apart, actually. We don't actually change much. And then finally, if we do the whole thing together, just like all of the digits to get what the actual answer is, we can see what one we think is actually going to be the smartest to do. So here you're going to have to borrow, right, to do this. So this is going to be 7, it's going to be 12, and that'll give us 9 here. And then 7, you'll get 0. And then 9 minus 3 will be 6. And then this will give us 3. So which one of these is the closest to 3,609? Well, this tens one is really close, right? It's pretty close. So that's pretty good. Like, it's one off. So that's actually a pretty good estimate. We didn't have to change it too much. This one here as well, the hundreds, is also pretty good because it's only 9 off, and the math was even easier. We only had to we were able to quickly do the math for this one. Now, the thousands was the easiest, but it's off by about 400. So that can actually be sort of a large thing. It depends how specific you wanted to get, but yeah, it shows the gap to be even bigger than it is, right? Because one number rounds down and one number rounds up in that case, and so the gap becomes a gap of 400. So what I'm showing you here is that you have to choose sometimes which one you want to use. And now there might be 2 right answers, right? That these 2 are fine, and maybe this one you could do just for speed's sake, and it would get you a pretty good answer anyways. And so you just have to discern, right? When you're dealing with massive numbers, say you're dealing with something like this and, something like this, you might want to be careful in how you, which one you choose, right? The tens, you're not actually saving much there, but yeah, if you go to these, the hundreds of thousands, that could be a lot of people that you're just forgetting about. So sometimes you have to just kind of think about it. And that's the main thing I wanted to show you. When you're estimating, sometimes you have to choose, but also remember that there's not necessarily just one correct answer. You can have reasoning for your answer, yeah, in a different way, right, for estimating. Most of the time in math, there is just one correct answer, but when we're estimating how we choose to estimate, it doesn't necessarily have to be always the same. We have many different reasons why we estimate, and so it's kind of the circumstances dictate what is going on. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this quick little video and that this helps you with your math today.